Today we're going to be doing the full card predictions and breakdown to UFC Perth that's taking place on Saturday night for us Australians. For the first time since August last year, we've actually got a card at a reasonable time. And I'm going to break down every single fight on the card, starting with Donmar Pham versus Cody Steele. I'm going to go with Donmar Pham. He's a slight underdog in this one. I think he's going to be able to get it done by a decision over Cody Steele. Cody Steele hasn't fought since February of last year when he had the war with Rong Zhu, and he hasn't been too active in his career. He's 7-1 and he's 31 years old. I don't know really what he's doing. Maybe he's been injured for the year, but I just think that Donmar Pham, he's been more active. He fought at 325 this year. He looked good in his fighters as well. Looked very clean on the feet. And Cody Steele, he can be dragged into a war, and I just think that Donmar Pham is going to be able to outdo him to a decision across the 3 rounds. Now, moving on, we've got Jonathan Mikulev versus Themba Gorimbo. The Rock is going to be getting that house back from Themba Gorimbo, and he's going to get it back soon because he has not been performing too well at all. And I think that Jonathan Mikulev is going to be able to get it done over him as well. Jonathan has shown in every single one of his fights an improvement. In the Oban Elliott performance, we saw much better grappling from him. And even in the Kevin Ducey fight a couple of years ago, or last year in February, he performed really well in that fight. He was outstriking Kevin Ducey at every moment in the fight. And I could even see Kevin Ducey causing some problems to Themba Gorimbo. And I just think Themba, he's got no cardio, and he's not really... Well, he's got not no cardio, he just doesn't have great cardio, and he just is constantly smudging. I think literally getting given that house by The Rock has made his cardio worse. He doesn't have the hustle in him, and I think that Jonathan Mikulev, he can get the finish here, but I think Themba's going to be able to cockroach his way through and just be able to make it to the 3 rounds, but probably lose 30-27 in them. Moving on, we've got Ben Johnson versus Wes Schultz. Easy Ben Johnston W. I know that Ben Johnston's only 5-1, but he is better in every single way than Wes Schultz. We saw against Damian Penas that Penas was really just able to unload shots all over Wes Schultz's face, and he made Wes Schultz look like a bit of a victim out there. And I think that Ben Johnston, he's a really good grappler on the regional scene. He's shown a couple of times, and I think he's going to be able to get the rear naked choke over Wes Schultz. I think Wes Schultz is just really not even close to being UFC level, and I think this is going to be an easy win for Ben Johnston there. Moving on, though, we've got Colby Thickness versus Vince Morales. Now, I do really like Colby Thickness like every other Aussie, but I'm going to have to go with Vince Morales by a decision. Now, Thickness, the reason why I'm doing this is because he specializes in the grappling. And Vince Morales, he's put on a good performance against guys like Elijah Smith or Raul Rosas Jr., where he's made it close really in the grappling. He almost had a submission on Raul Rosas. I think he was going for like Peruvian neckties or something like that. He was going for something crafty. And I think against those better, bigger guys, he wasn't able to get the submission. He wasn't able to outdo them to a decision. And I just think that Colby Thickness, he's almost like a flyweight-sized bantamweight, and he just seems a little bit too frail on the feet, and I think he's going to get outdone to a decision, because when you watch Colby Thickness, you think he's just constantly victim maxing out there. He's never really looks too threatening. Everything that he throws is almost like he's scared of getting hit halfway through the punch. And I just don't think that Vince Morales, a grizzled, crafty vet, even though he's got the 16-10 record, I think he's going to be able to get it done over Colby Thickness. I haven't thought Thickness was too good since his first performance over Alexandre Topuria, just because he is durable, he's good at grappling as well, but I just don't see the same level of threat in any position. Like, I can't see him getting... He's not going to finish Vince Morales with a buggy choke, and you know he's going to go for one. So I don't see enough paths to victory for Colby Thickness. I have a hair in my eye. But, Vince Morales, he's going to get it done by a decision. Now, moving on, we've got Jacob Mamba Malkoon versus Gerald Meerfart. This is such a fight that GM3 could work some magic in. Just because Malkoon, Meerfart, every single time he's fought someone and they've got a lot of finishing potential, you know he's getting done. Like, before the Kyle Dorcas fight, you knew that Gerald Meerschaert was going to be in a ball on the ground. Same thing with the Mikhail Oleksiejczuk fight. You knew that Oleksiejczuk was just going to absolutely burn through him. But Jacob Malkoun has got some of the most pillow-fisted hands ever. Now, this doesn't mean that Gerald Meerschaert won't shoot into the titanium hip of Jacob Malkoun and get knocked out and be like a follow-up Andre Petroski, but Andre Petroski drinks soy milk. Like, we know that he's not going to be able to get it done. And we know that he's not got the chin to run into a hip of Jacob Malkoun. Whereas Gerald Meerschaert, I could see him lasting the 3 rounds and actually showing up and having the heralded Gerald Meerschaert 3rd round where he just completely dominates his opponent. But I just think he's too old, too weathered. 37 and 21. 21 losses. 21 times to get submitted, decisioned, or beaten up, or finished. Like, you can't go through that. And I think that Gerald Meerschaert, he's going to get finished. And he's going to be Jacob Malkoun's first legitimate finish in the UFC. And I'm going to be really sad about it. I love GM3. I think that this is his time. It's his retirement now. Jacob Malkoun, he looked really good against Torres Finney. He defended the grappling at every moment. And Torres Finney, say what you want, he can wrestle his butt off. And I think Gerald Meerschaert, he's not going to be able to get it done. He's not going to be able to shoot his takedowns and actually get them. Nowadays, he's looking more geriatric each time, shooting with his head, facing the floor. And he gets sprawled on really hard every time. And I know that Jacob Malkoun's going to do that. And I think he's going to get like a 2nd round TKO over Gerald Meerschaert. I don't think he's got the pop to get it done in the first, though. Moving on, though, we've got Junior Tafa versus Kevin Christian. Did I see this correct? I'm so annoyed by that. Minus 1100. Sorry, I was just having a quick look at those odds. But Junior Tafa, minus 205. 6-5 Junior Tafa is a favorite in the UFC. And I got to agree with it. I thought I was coming out here with the crafty underdog pick, but everyone sees what I see in this. Kevin Christian, he's got the worst chin I've seen in a while in the light heavyweight division. Like, sometimes you can just look at the chin and you know who's got a better one. Like, look at Junior Tafa and then look at Kevin Christian. Like, look at this here. This is like solid, like, you know, big looking chin, sort of like a Drew Dober chin. And he's not even got, I bet Junior Tafa doesn't even have that good of a chin. But you look at Kevin Christian, I hate that I've got a similar looking chin to him, but I promise I've not got a bad chin. But Kevin Christian, he's got this like really bad looking chin. It's sort of shaped like a kidney bean. You don't really know if he's going to be able to take shots. And Kevin Christian, you know he can't strike. And I know he's a great grappler. He's a very good jiu-jitsu artist. And I know that Junior Tafa cannot grapple. Like, it almost looks like he's having a panic attack as soon as he hits the floor. But I just don't think that Kevin Christian's going to be able to get him down. Like, Junior Tafa, takedown defense, absolutely horrible. But I think that Kevin Christian just has shown that his chin is not there. We saw against Billy Elikana, who hasn't got the most pop. Instantly into that fight, he looks like he was a victim. And I think that in this one, Junior Tafa is going to be able to get a finish in the first minute and a half of the round. He's going to know that, look, this is my last fight in the UFC. I'm going to get cut if it's not. He better get cut if he does lose. But Junior Tafa, he showed some alright takedown defense. I'm not going to say good takedown defense, but he showed some okay takedown defense against Billy Elikana. And he knocked him down really bad. And Billy was the one to knock down and finish Kevin Christian. So I think Junior Tafa is going to be able to get it done by a round 1 TKO. Maybe I'm going to eat my words and I'm going to be back here screaming about the Tafa bros again. But I think he's going to get it done. Moving on, we've got Cam Rowston versus Robert Brycek. This is a bad prediction from me, but I'm going to go with Robert Brycek to win by a TKO. Now, the reason is because Robert Brycek, he had that great performance against Brad Tavares. He was literally just pounding him into the count. Pause. Did not mean it like that. But Robert Brycek, he was just absolute... I was about to say he was drilling him into the canvas. What am I doing? Seriously. But Robert Brycek against Brad Tavares just beat him up the entire 3 rounds. You could almost finish it at multiple moments of that fight. And I think Brycek, he is actually super dangerous. People are judging him just off of that Potera fight. And the thing is that could have just been a one-off performance. Maybe he was coming off the regional scene, thought he was better than he actually was. He's got 7 out of his last 7 wins are all... Whoa. Woke up from a nap not too long ago. Can't blame me. But Brycek, he's won his last 7 wins by TKO. And although Cam Rowston, we see him, he's a city kickboxer, really nice, crafty striking. But honestly, Brundage and Petrosky wins don't mean anything at this point. And watching Brundage tag Cam Rowston in moments and actually rock him in moments, it's really worrying. And Cam Rowston, he doesn't move his head at all. He's one of those guys, he's 6'3", he's a taller guy who's been able to get away with just like posting with his hand out and running backwards as his defense. And Robert Brycek, he's shown some good striking, and I think that if Brundage is hurting you, I think that Brycek's going to be able to get the finish here. And I just am worried. I'm worried about Rowston. Like, he's got the nasty knees, but Brycek's another tall guy. I don't think he's ducking into one of those. And I think that Brycek's going to be able to step over the top, maybe even whilst Cam Rowston's going for a knee, catch him with the right hand, and I think he's going to put him out in the first or second round for Robert Brycek. He looked really good against Brad Tavares. Now, moving on, we've got Tai Tuivasa versus Louis Sutherland. Oh my god! I hadn't seen these guys' builds next to each other. Far out. God, makes me sick. No, it doesn't make me sick, but like, looking at these builds gives you what you need to know about the heavyweight division right now. Tai Tuivasa was ranked up until this fight, and Louis Sutherland, he's only ever lost in the UFC, and he was 10-3. Shouldn't have even been signed. Like, I get it, on the regional scene, he was on roids. Like, you cannot tell me anything that you can't say that he wasn't. Louis Sutherland on the regional scene, I've never seen a change more than that. Like, let me pull up a photo for you. I don't usually like to change the tabs whilst I'm actually doing it, but let me do something for you. Just look at this guy on the regional scene. Like, just look at this. Look at this guy. He looked massive. Like, gigantic. Whereas now we've got this version of Louis Sutherland who looks like my pillow at night. I'm sure Louis Sutherland, like, you would give a good hug, man, but like, you're not supposed to be here. And it, honestly, it's embarrassing that this is a 50-50 matchup, because it's just a mirror matchup between two deflated heavyweights. Louis is on a 2-fight losing streak, 2-fight losing streak in the UFC. Tai Tuivasa 6 in a row, I think. Yep, 6 in a row, and I think post-roided Louis Sutherland, he's not going to have enough explosiveness to get past Tai Tuivasa. Tai spent most of his career at this build, and like, he knows how to deal with that. I know that he was a bit too big last time, but he spent a lot of his career big. Louis Sutherland spent a lot of his career on roids, and now he's like a blown-up bullfrog. And it's sort of just like, you just know that Louis Sutherland's not going to be able to have the speed to get to Tai Tuivasa. Now, one thing about this fight, people have been saying, I was almost about to say this about the Dominic Reyes versus Johnny Walker fight. When people say a KO has to happen so much, it never happens. Derek Lewis versus Francis Ngannou. And I think this is one of those fights where everyone breaking it down will be like, oh, it's going to be a knockout either way. I think that these guys are going to blob around at range, trading leg kicks, being scared to throw and get cut from the UFC. Now, I could be completely wrong, but I'm going to go with a decision win for Tai Tuivasa from leg kicking on the outside. I don't see it. I don't see how either of these guys are going to be able to get it done. I really don't. Well, but the thing is that because I can't see either of them get it done, one of them has to. And Tai Tuivasa, he's going to stand at range and he's going to leg kick more. I actually believe that neither of them are going to get a finish, which is crazy. You would think, looking at it, that one of them would. Now, moving on to the next one, we've got Shamil Gaziev versus Brando Perisic. Now, on the left, we do have another heavyweight that's a similar build to the guys before, but on the right, we've got an absolute shad, the Balkan Bear, and he's going to be able to sleep Shamil Gaziev in the first round. Now, I am worried. Shamil Gaziev, don't be fooled. The build doesn't show how fast this guy actually is. He is really fast. His hands are probably some of the fastest in the heavyweight division, and I'm not joking. But his head movement and just movement alone with his legs is probably one of the slowest in the UFC heavyweight division. So I think that we've got a good middle ground. Brando Perisic, he's a durable guy. Shamil Gaziev, he's been finished a couple of times, so we know that his chin's not all there. And I think that Brando Perisic, he's got the granite chin, not the granite, but he's got a better chin. He's not as fast with the hands as Shamil Gaziev, but on the feet he'll move around faster just due to the footwork. And I think that Brando Perisic is going to be able to catch Shamil Gaziev, like, after a combination. You see Gaziev, he'll have, like, a beautiful combination. He'll look slick as. And then the next combination, he walks into range, his hands below his waist, and he'll just get chinned out cold by Brando Perisic. Moving on, and that's going to be in round 1. Moving on to the next one, we have got Marwan Rahiki versus Ollie... that's an unfortunate name. Ollie Schmid. Ollie Schmid, okay. So, I'm going to go with Marwan Rahiki by first round KO. I know that he just beat Harry Hardwick. Ollie Schmid is 4-2, and he is Schmid as. Like, I don't know why they made this fight. I get it that they want that Marwan Rahiki probably requested to fight on the card, and he is an upcoming star. He's a young guy, but Marwan Rahiki, I am really high on him, but I'm not that high on him, to be honest. And he is going to destroy Schmid. But Marwan Rahiki, I'm not even really going to talk about this fight because he's going to smoke 4-2 Ollie Schmid on short notice. Because he's much more clean. He's really good on the feet. He's got nice striking. He's good to watch. Like, very active. He's got good accuracy. He's a very all-around good fighter, but he gets into these wars every single time. Now, if he wars with Ollie Schmid, I know he's going nowhere in his career, but I don't think he will. Ollie Schmid is nowhere to be seen in the UFC. Cut him after this fight. I know he's going to get destroyed. And the one thing about Marwan Rahiki, I don't think he's going to go too far. He gets into wars with everyone. People are talking about the Harry Hardwick fight, like, that's super impressive. But I'm watching what Harry Hardwick throws, and he does box like a 7-year-old girl in a trial class. Like, you really should expect Marwan Rahiki to style on Harry Hardwick. And I think that Marwan Rahiki, he should have finished Harry Hardwick early. I get Harry Hardwick's tough as nails. We know that. But I don't see why he should be getting into these wars with him. So I think that he's going to be able to get an easy... I could see like a head kick KO from Marwan Rahiki in round 1. Moving on to the next one though. But in saying that, not moving on to the next one, you remember the fight between Baisangur Sursakayev and Eric Nolan, how Baisangur just thought it was his week and he was just trying to style on Eric Nolan. And he ended up getting hurt and making it to the second round. Screw my first round prediction. I think Marwan Rahiki is going to go out there, try to style on him early, get hurt once or twice, and then he's going to destroy Ollie Schmid in the second round. Moving on though, we've got Tim Elliott versus Steve Erceg. I don't think you understand how much I wanted to go with Tim Elliott with this one. Because during the Kaya Sakura fight, I don't know if you remember my breakdown of it, I spent about 7 minutes on it because I kept wanting to pick Tim Elliott. Because he had the style to beat Kaya Sakura. And the big thing is I just think that Tim Elliott and Steve Erceg, Steve's style is built to beat Tim Elliott, especially now that he's got the little beard going on, looks a little bit more tough. I think he's got a bit more grit points from that. And I just think that Tim Elliott, he's a wild and he's a very hittable guy, and that doesn't really matter for a guy with no pop like Steve Erceg. I think that being wild and hittable, he's just going to end up getting caught a bunch in the fight. And his one way of getting the win is going to be either a winging overhand. I don't think he'll get that. He could. Steve Erceg's defense is questionable. But it's going to be in the grappling that he will have to get the win. And I think Steve Erceg, he's too clean with the grappling. And he was able to deal with Pantoja's grappling. And I just think that Pantoja's grappling is much better than Tim Elliott's. And I think Steve Erceg, once Tim Elliott starts to actually grapple with him, he's going to be able to twist him up in a pretzel, sweep himself up onto top position. And I think he's just going to be positionally outdoing Tim Elliott in most points of the fight. I don't think that... It could be a close one, like, don't get me wrong. I think Tim Elliott's got a good chance of getting, like, maybe dropping Steve Erceg in a moment, but I just think that Erceg's going to be able to get it done over him by a decision there, just with the grappling positioning. Elliott's very good in the grappling, and he's got a lot of finishes there, but Steve Erceg's really, really good there. Moving on, we've got Beneil Dariush versus Quillan Sallkilld. Now, I was actually struggling with this pick for a while. I was really considering going with the crafty Beneil Dariush underdog pick, just because I've been watching, like, some of these guys coming up against the ranked lightweights, like the Chris Duncans. I watched Nasrat and, not Nasrat. I watched, who was it? Last weekend, there was a fight between Rafa Garcia versus Alexander Hernandez. I was watching that fight and I was thinking, ooh, these guys are a level above the guys that Quillan Sallkilld beat. Like, I get he beat Nasrat, but I was thinking about it and I was like, these guys, they're a little bit better than Nasrat. Like, I don't know if, like, Quillan's going to be able to just jump straight into the rankings. I love Quillan Sallkilld, though. And I'm going to have to pick him. Just because, like, I look at his wins and I'm impressed with the way that he performed. Like, smoking Nasrat with a head kick is impressive. Don't get me wrong, Nasrat's a good fighter. And beating Anshul Jubilee, step back right hand, ooh, that's impressive as well. Or step forward right hand. And he out-grappled Jamie Malarkey. He outdid Yanal Ashmouz, which is actually his most impressive win to me, to be honest. Just because Ashmouz has shown decent grappling, and I think that Beneil Dariush, he's going to have to wrestle very, very early, and he's going to have to outdo Quillan very, very early. And I just think Quillan's takedown defense is shown to be very good. And I think his grappling in general, like, I was worried that Beneil would be able to twist him up, maybe bring him late into the fight. And don't get me wrong, against Yanal Ashmouz, he did gas out badly in the third round, but I think that he's going to be able to get it done over Beneil Dariush early with a TKO, because he just has to defend enough takedowns to land on the chin of Beneil, and Beneil is done. And the reason why Moicano didn't get it over him, because in the second 2 rounds, he did nothing. Quillan's not going to do that. And one thing I do worry about with Quillan is if you see all of his really good performances, he shoots a couple of bad takedowns before he gets there. And if he does that to Beneil, I could see him getting finished, and I don't want that to happen. But if he can, like, work on the feet without just spamming takedowns initially, I think he's going to be able to get it done. I am worried, though. I am worried. Like, this is a fight where I could see Quillan Sallkilld getting shown by an unk with the grey hair, being just like getting his outside leg tripped out up against the cage, and maybe he works around to the back, gets the submission on rear naked choke on Quillan Sallkilld. I could see that. I just don't think so. I don't think so. Moving on to the main event. I think it'll be a first round TKO. Moving on to the main event, though, we've got an absolute barn burner between Jack Della Maddalena and Carlos Prates. This is a fun fight. This is a fight that I've been waiting for weeks. This is probably the fight that I'm most excited for out of every single fight that's happened in the last maybe 3 months. And I'm not joking. Maybe since JDM Islam, and that turned out to be an absolute stinker. This is the fight I've been most excited for. This is a great fight. I think that it's a tough prediction as well, because you look at the styles difference between the two of them. You see a Jack Della Maddalena with the great boxing. He's got amazing defense. He's got the really slick parts to him. He's got good footwork. And then you see the Carlos Prates, the really long, rangy striker. One-shot KO power, dangerous. Dangerous with every single limb as well. And you don't, like, looking at that, I don't really know what to go with on the surface level. And then when I started doing a little bit of research, I think Carlos Prates wins by TKO. I really do. I really do, and it sucks to say that because I love JDM. JDM's style of boxing. JDM's just style in general is how I would, if I were to build a fighter, I would build JDM with better grappling. I build an Ilia Topuria, but I'd build JDM. Even though Topuria's got way more power, pound for pound, way more power, maybe way more power in general as well. It's just the way, the fluidity that JDM throws his punches and his combinations in. There's nothing better to me. Like, I genuinely could watch it for 2 days straight. But I just think that Carlos Prates is the style to beat him. I think JDM, beats Michael Morales. I think he beats him, and think he beats him handedly. I think he could finish him. But JDM, and he would struggle with him, though. Because JDM, you've seen, he struggles with the taller guys. if you remember the Kevin Holland fight, Kevin Holland's not nearly as powerful, not nearly as dangerous, not nearly as accurate. He doesn't stand his ground as much as Prates. And he was landing these these looping hooks around the tight guard of JDM. And Prates, if he lands that, that's going to be much harder. Not saying it will sleep JDM straight away, but saying it's going to put some damage on him. And Holland, he doesn't have the most pop with those hooks. He's really good with the straight punches. He can flatline you like he did to Buckley with those. But with those hooks around the guard, he's not got the same leverage as Carlos Prates does. And with JDM in that fight, you could see he struggled to get into range compared to when he's coming up against Beneil. And even then you see with that, JDM, he counters really well against shorter opponents. Against Beneil, he can see the shot coming and he can slip on the inside and actually land that shot. If he slips on the inside and tries to land the shot against Carlos Prates, I think he's going to be falling short for a long time. It's going to have to be, he'll have to bide his time until the 4th and 5th rounds before even being able to do that. And people talk about the Ian Garry performance, how Garry was able to run circles around Carlos Prates in the first 4 rounds. JDM's not that type of fighter. His footwork's good, very good. But I don't think he's that type of fighter. Ian Garry's footwork, I think, is better than both JDM's and Prates's. And I hate Ian Garry. It's hard for me to say that. But Carlos Prates and Jack, I think they have both got quite similar footwork, except Prates might move a little bit more. JDM doesn't move back as much as well. JDM will try and stay within range so he can still counter, whereas there are moments where Carlos Prates will just piss bolt backwards and try and land up against the cage just so he can circle back around. And I think against JDM, that will work. And for JDM, his method of slipping just outside, he does get caught sometimes doing that. And if you get caught by Prates doing that, he's going to end up dropping you and knocking you out. And another thing is that JDM, I've seen him time and time again get caught by counter elbows over the top. I don't know if you remember when Burns caught him with one in the first round or second round, or when Kevin Holland was catching him quite frequently with those. And a guy like Carlos Prates, he doesn't have the same counter elbow shot that Gilbert Burns does, but he has that spinning elbow that we saw last time, and he also has a tomahawk elbow as well, where he really jabs in with it. So I think for JDM, he's gonna have a lot of danger around that, and there's not a lot of tools that he can work with. He's not a head kicker. He uses his knees against guys shooting in or shorter guys, but they're not gonna work against Prates. He can leg kick. He leg kicks every now and then, but against Prates, that's a guy who can leg kick better than him. And then if we're looking at body shots, Prates, he's got the nastiest body knee, maybe even in the UFC. And that body knee alone will take away a lot of JDM's body shots himself. If JDM goes for a 2 to the body, he doesn't really do it too regularly. But if he does, that knee is coming up. Same with the jab to the body. And that jab to the body is really, really one of his biggest range finders. So if he can't do that jab to the body or that jab to the head, then he's going to have some real troubles with, or the jab to the body, he's going to have some real troubles range finding against Carlos Prates. And then looking at the body shots that he lands, the hooks up against the cage when he unloads a 5-shot combination, it's ripe for a rear elbow from Carlos Prates, or even a spinning elbow at that. So I think that Prates, he's going to be able to knock out Jack Della Maddalena in the 3rd round. I think the first 3 rounds, JDM's going to have some moments, but I think it's going to be not in the way that it looks, but I think it's almost going to be like that Max Holloway-Ilya Topuria fight, where you think Max Holloway is doing well, but then Ilya, each shot that he was landing was sending shudders down Max Holloway's spine. I think that this is going to be like that. JDM's going to land some really big shots, but then when Prates lands, I think there's going to be a difference in how it's taken. And Prates as well, I think JDM's going to struggle landing anywhere on Prates, because he has this sort of guard where it's almost like a Philly shell, but it's also like a cross guard, where he's bringing his arm up and he's blocking his body at the same time. It's a very weird guard, and he'll sort of hunch over and fall backwards whilst he's doing that. And I don't think that JDM's going to be able to deal with that. I think it's going to be a Prates TKO, and I'm really sad to say it. I don't want JDM to get TKO'd, but I think it's going to happen. And I'm going to probably almost cry if it does, maybe even cry. So let me know what you think of the fight in the comment section below. As always, if you enjoyed the video, leave a like, and I'll catch you next time. Peace.